Coming up, it's Joanna Page.
Yes,
oh my
she's
God.
here.
Let's touch on Gavin and Stacey.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. Filming the finale was horrific. Oh my God, I don't know how I got through it.
Your iconic scene in Love Actually, Martin Freeman fondling you and
dry humping you.
I remember getting the script and it was like, oh my God, I am not doing that. They give you such a Hollywood kind of makeover. I had a whole spray tan. Then they had it was a tiny little G-string.
it sounds like a porno.
And I swear to God, it looked like there were about 200 people just all crowded around the monitors.
Have your kids seen Love Actually?
Oh my God, don't think that's going to happen.
Our next guest is a Welsh icon who's been a staple on our screens for 20 years. It's Joanna Page.
Yes,
oh my
she's
God.
here.
So excited.
I know this is already going to be amazing. The energy of the room is real. It's good. And
We've literally been laughing since the second you walked into the studio.
Yes.
Exactly. You came in and we have not stopped talking.
I know, we haven't.
Venting.
Yeah.
That's what we've been doing.
I need somewhere to go to just like vent and just
Welcome.
get
in the
it
right
all
place.
out.
Welcome to our
you.
studio.
And it's so nice to have you here. So many questions to ask. So I'm going to start with you've got 4 kids.
4 of them.
What are their
Unbelievable.
ages?
They are 13, but she's about 25. She's
Yeah.
taller
Really?
than me. She looks so much older than 13. She's
Yeah.
got a very wise head on her shoulders, which is good.
Good.
But that's something which I always found quite strange when she was born, because she's nothing like me. I'm an Aries and really impulsive and just like throw yourself into it. And she's an Aquarius. So she's very artistic, but very weighs things up. And she looks at you and you can see she's thinking stuff. Whereas I'm like a Labrador going, come on, let's get on the roller coaster. And she's just like, no. And, and I find that quite difficult in the beginning. And I've had to sort of accept that she's not the same as me. And that's fine.
Yeah,
Because not everybody, is.
Maybe if she was the same, it might clash.
Well, I was
Well,
just
I know,
going to
it'd be
say
insane,
that would
wouldn't
be
it? Can you
worse if you
imagine?
met a smaller version of yourself. That's what people are constantly, like mothers are worried about that, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yes.
she's a small version of me. And if you're a bit stubborn, be
Yes.
like loggerheads.
Yeah, and also with things like with her growing up, I mean, obviously, they should be allowed to try different things and express themselves, and she's going to do all sorts of things, but she doesn't tell me about, or hopefully will tell me about. But I feel kind of like she's quite sensible. I know she's going to be a teenager and not sensible, but there will be a bit of it that she is quite sensible.
Were you sensible?
No. Well, yes, I was actually. I was sensible because I was an only child and I was very much like really driven, wanted to always be the best, just wanted to perform. I went to an all-girls school, didn't even have any contact with any boys at all.
I was the
until,
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I came out to do A-levels and I was like, Jesus, I don't know how you talk to them, how you relate to them. They're like aliens.
Did you put them on a pedestal? Because I
Yes,
did.
I was utterly terrified. And sitting next to like this boy, because I mean, it was an all-girls school, and I was an only child, and all I wanted to do was like drama. So most of the boys I was with were all gay. I didn't have any relationships with boys until I got to like 16. And then I'm sitting there kind of looking at one going, well, how do you speak to them? I mean, how do you speak to them? So then suddenly in those years, I sort of went a bit berserk and then like calmed down a bit.
What do you mean by berserk?
Well, just sort of.
Were you a bit of a slag? Is that what you're trying to say? Here she is with 4 kids like that.
I just remember.
I learnt my way.
I learned my lesson.
Can we talk about your iconic scene in Love Actually?
Yeah.
Where you've got Martin Freeman fondling you and
Dry humping you.
And just talk us through that whole thing, because I know in your book originally you were meant to be doing the other scene with Laura.
Oh my gosh, yes, the Laura Linney part.
Yeah,
That's the part I auditioned for. I remember getting the script and it was like, oh my God, I just watched Notting Hill and it's like, Jesus, I've got a Richard Curtis script in my hands. Oh my God, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
And then I read it and my first words were, Jesus, I pity the poor sods who are going to be John and Judy. I mean, can you imagine? And then I went and auditioned for Laura Linney's part, Sarah. Went in and it was clear I wasn't right for it. I wasn't right. So I left.
Did you just get that sense that
Oh
you
God,
went,
yeah. I wasn't right. I was too young and I was, I wasn't old enough and I wasn't mature enough, and then thought, right, move on. And then my agent phoned and said, darling, they want to see you for the part of Judy. They think you're very funny. And so I was just like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do that. I mean, it's like, it's full on. I don't know if I can,
I envisaged you in your audition having to go in, read the scenes and be like, listen, do you want to see my
Yeah.
Like, is that not how it
No,
happened?
no, you just had to go in, sit down, read through the scenes and sort of like act the scenes out, you know, so you're sitting on a chair in there and then like acting out as much as you can, sort of going, oh, you know, chatting away with Martin and then kind of pretending to sort of go, you know, and pretending to sort of do stuff. But we didn't actually know what we were going to be doing then. So I think I must have just sort of mimed doing things. But before this, I had done From Hell. And that was like my first ever sex scene where I had to be topless. And so I had done that. But at the time, actually, when we were auditioning, I didn't know how naked I was going to be. It was kind of like they act out the sex scenes and stuff.
And how do you feel doing a sex scene when you're
It's
like, oh, I was just
awful.
on top of
Is
someone?
it awful?
Oh, God,
is it
it's so
embarrassing? Like, do the men get a
embarrassing.
hard on?
Well, no, I don't think they do, because you always have a closed set. And also, I don't know. Oh, no, the ones that you're acting with.
Yeah, if you're
Oh.
dry humping someone, like, surely they're going to get a semi on.
No, nobody's ever got anything when I've had to like, but I've had to do 2 things where I've had to do like full on sex scenes and nobody got like an erection or anything because it's
Are you a
too
bit annoyed about that?
terrifying.
You're like, hello?
No, because
I'm
it's too
hot.
scary.
Excuse me.
But my husband, he's an actor, right? And he did a sex scene once and he has to lie down on it and he's got to be completely naked. And he said that the medic, and this is like years ago, around about like 1999 or something, so things were different. The medic came up to him on set and said to him, look, I've got a tablet that you can take to make sure that there's no action and nothing happens. If you want to take that to make you
It's the
feel more,
opposite of
you know.
Viagra.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Where do you
James
buy
was-
that? I'll put it in Andy's coffee.
Exactly.
Babe, do you not fancy it tonight? Bedtime, lights off.
I'll just get my back and relax. yeah, and James went, oh my God, no thanks. I think I'll be perfectly fine. And, you know, nothing's going to happen with me. And also I'll be scared it's not going to go back up,
Oh
you know?
God, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, you'll have like a closed set, but it's still utterly terrifying.
But
But
there's
what was
still
good...
people- when you
Yeah,
say
but how many
closed set,
people are on a closed
Yeah.
So
set?
you'll have, sometimes everybody will go out and you might just have the director there, or you might just have the person who's doing the camera, or you know, like when it was me doing it with on Love Actually, so you've got the rest of the cast, but then you've got, I think we had Richard, and I think you might have had, you know, the person who was doing the camera, and then I think you might have like a producer there, or, you know, just like one other person. You'll always have hair and makeup in there, and it's always loads of girls, and you'll always have wardrobe in there with you as well, because as soon as they go cat, the wardrobe girls would come in and they'd put, you know, like a dressing gown around you straight
Yeah.
away.
Is there an intimacy coordinator there?
No, because this was in roundabout
Oh,
2003.
back in the day. No,
So
there
what
would
is
be
that?
now,
What's
though.
an intimacy
Well,
coordinator?
when I left drama school, right, you had nothing. So you basically would go on set and you wouldn't really talk about what you're going to do. Or when I did From Hell, right, we didn't even talk about what we were going to do or anything. It just, in the script, right, and this is ages before I'd even had children, in the script it says that Anne is having sex. She's on top of Prince Albert and she's having sex with him. It's 2 weeks since she's given birth, but she's riding him in ecstasy on top. I
Crikey.
mean, good God. Don't think
Jesus.
that's going to happen.
Yeah.
No.
And then it says, just as she's starting to climax, a drop of milk starts coming out of her nipple. I remember reading that and going, I am not bloody doing
And then,
that.
what's the fee? Hold on, what's the fee?
Do I want to be able to pay off the mortgage? Yeah, okay, I'll consider it. So that's what was in the script. Because it's weird, because everybody looks at you and thinks that's how you have sex. But it's not, because you're just so utterly terrified. And also, if it's for a sex scene, they give you such a Hollywood kind of makeover. We didn't talk about the scene at all. It was like they have sex and that's it, right? And then they took me, I was in hair and makeup for hours. They toned all of my hair. Then I went in and I had a whole spray tan. Then they had
Wow.
like, it was a tiny little G-string that I had to put on.
But it sounds like a porno.
Yeah,
literally.
yeah. And then they sprayed me down with all this glycerine. I mean, I looked incredible. And I couldn't move when they went action. I just froze. And then I thought, imagine you're riding a horse, okay? You're just
Yeah.
riding a horse. You're riding
Ride
a horse.
that horse.
That's
So
what
I
I
was
told
trying to
myself
ride
last
the
night,
horse,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And then all I could think of was Club Tropicana, right? I just thought of George Michael and I was just singing that in my head and just riding this horse. And then they had to shout cat because I was mute. I couldn't make any noise. They came in and they said, you're not making any noise at all. You're just, you're mute.
What if
And
you're on
after
your
giving
period
birth
or something when you're doing these scenes?
Yes, well,
That's the
you're
other
stuffed then.
thing,
I mean,
yeah.
you are,
Yeah,
well, you're
yeah.
not stuffed. You've basically, I mean, the reality is you've got to shove a tampon. Well, you either have to carry on taking your pill,
Yes.
or you have the thing that the doctor gives you where you don't bleed, like you can take tablets or
that's a
something.
Consideration.
I know, that's what you have to do. Or
wild.
you shove a massive tampon up, cut the cord off, and hope for the best.
Oh, cut the right tail off.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
that's it. And I just remember seeing the distance, the monitors there, and I swear to God, it looked like there were about 200 people just all crowded around the monitors. Everyone there just like watching and checking out their own thing of what they need to be looking at. But it was kind of like...
That's a lot. That's
oh
a
my
lot.
You know what?
God.
This is nothing. We're saying to you, how was it having your boobs out?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
You've done
Like,
this a couple of years before.
Yeah,
That was
'cause
nothing.
what was easy, right, was that, so doing that, I wasn't scared about my body or feeling fat or feeling unattractive or feeling, there was none of that. I never worried like, oh my God, do I look all right? Or do I look slim? Or do I look, you know? The thing I was worried about was being sexy, because I do consider myself to be a sexy person, but in my own way of being sexy. Like, say I am having sex with James, poor thing, right? What he must go through with me, right? Like, no filter at all. I never ever not feel sexy, but put a pair of like jeans on me and a vest, no bra, pair of flip-flops, and just like my hair just all relaxed and no makeup. That is when I feel sexy.
Have your kids seen Love Actually? Because it's on,
No.
you know, every Christmas it's on. Like, do people come up to you and they're like, do people actually say like, think that they know you because you're Stacey or
God,
Love
yes.
Actually, and kind of want to?
Yes.
Yeah.
All the time. And my kids are now asking to watch Love Actually because they've heard about it and they kind of know the story in it as well. They know that, you know, mummy is nude in it and that I act out these things in it. So they haven't seen any of it because, you know, like the eldest one is 13. But it was, I think it was last year that I said, yes, okay, you can sit down and watch Love Actually. Mummy is going to have to fast forward through some bits.
Oh,
But you
really?
will get to see
When
me.
mummy's got a now, I'll have to
You're not
fast
worried that
forward.
she's just going to like find it on YouTube and...
No, not really, because I think because they've grown up with always having like a sibling, my God, my boobs have been out everywhere. And like, you know, in public, say we're in a cafe and then Eva's sitting there, I mean, it's like my boobs are always out. Because when I fed, I've got to the point where I've not even sort of tried to hide. I mean, after having Eva, my mum, the first time I ever breastfed in public, my God, I just got them out and started feeding. And mum stood up with a muslin and she like literally stood up like it was a sheet and just held it over me. And I was like, for Christ's sake, just sit down. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So they're used to my boobs being everywhere.
And you did FHM, didn't
just
you?
about to say,
Oh my God, that was horrific.
Did you have your boobs out for that? Or?
No, I didn't.
What was that like?
I think they would have liked it if they had been. Oh,
Of course
God.
it would have
Good
done.
old
Because-
FHM.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be on FHM in my modelling days, but I never quite got there.
God, I was quite excited to do it because I don't consider myself a like sexy person. I'm not one of those sexy girls, you know. And
You've
so,
seen Love Actually, right? That was very sexy.
Yeah, it was
But
very
it's
sexy.
not.
It was very kind of
so?
like, yeah, because you come across so like, I don't know, innocent or something.
Well, yeah,
it's not
that's
like
why I
parading
found
it
that
out there.
easier. I can do innocent and sexy. I can't innocent and naked. I can't do sexy and naked. That's when it gets like really embarrassing.
Yeah.
But oh my God, doing FHM, I was kind of like, okay, and it's for the comedy issue, so it's not like I'm being expected to like really ramp it up and be really sexy.
Right.
And I remember we said, I'll either do top or bottom because it was like I'm not wearing bra and knickers.
Yeah.
But I'll wear like something skimpier on the top if I've got something full on the bottom, or like pants on the bottom with like a vest or something on the top. We turned up and they brought out a rack and it was just all really skimpy underwear.
Standard.
Yeah. and I just remember my agent person who was with me just going, she's not wearing any of that. We told you specifically what she was going to wear.
Yeah.
They said, well, we don't have anything else. And she said, well, there we are then. She doesn't do it. And then they went, okay, we actually do. And then they brought some other stuff
Really?
out.
They had it. That's
Yeah.
really interesting because when I was in my modelling days, when I used to go to like castings, whatever, and a lot of the time, because again, there was no kind of regulation. It was just like,
Yes.
you know, turn up. Oh, here's a bunch of pretty girls. And I remember like photographers would be like, so this is for a topless shoot, but you won't see anything. Everything's covered, but you're going to have to take your top off anyway, just so we can see how well. You know, and I'm like 15, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just take my bra
And is
off
that not
to a
really
complete
intimidating
stranger.
to be in a studio where
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
like
God, yes.
loads
Yeah.
of men, and obviously your agents would be there, but like at 15 years old.
But your
I was-
agents aren't there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the amount of times I would go to auditions and you have to go to casting directors' houses, which
Yes.
you've never met before.
Yeah.
To
To
the
You turn up.
houses?
Yeah,
You
I've been to
turn up.
houses before, and I've been in some situations
What,
where
with
looking
taking your
back,
top
you're
off
like,
and stuff?
yeah, I've been in some situations where they,
Yeah, this was like the norm in the 90s.
like taking everything off,
Yeah.
everything. It's like we're trying to get like a, you know, like a nice naked, you know, like the whole like Demi Moore when she was naked in the
Yes.
90s, like
Yeah.
covering everything up. It's like we want to recreate that, and it's going to be for a cover of this. It's probably all And so they go,
Some bloke
some bloke's probably just like taking pictures for his own collection and then like,
for the
later. Just like, but you just turned up, you just did it.
You would turn up, you would do it. And I think as well, having the mentality of like a model or an actress, you know, if you want me to do the cover and you want me to be sexy, just let me do my own version of sexiness and that will be fine. But they wanted me to do the poses and do what, you know, those
do they
girls
ask you
can
to
do.
growl? I've had that before.
Oh
growl.
my God.
Arr.
Yes,
like, that doesn't make me feel sexy. I don't growl when I'm having sex, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous.
Because I think there is a photo of me sort of going, oh, like that. And it's like, have you ever done that?
What have you,
it's
so 90s though, isn't it? It's so 90s.
And I remember him sort of, he was so big and male, and he was like, do this or do that with your hair and do that, like, oh, you know, and he was amazing. I mean, physically, he was so sexy. And then I had a bottle of champagne, and it was like,
that will work.
Took the edge off, and then I managed to do it. And when I came out, I felt quite amazing. And then I saw the photos, and it was hilarious, right? Because it was like full on. Everything had been photoshopped, right? And which I was quite happy with, to be perfectly honest. I was on the cover. What they've done to like my legs, I look like I'm about 5'8". I'm 5'1.5", and I'm like, where did these legs come from? That's just not me. I mean, but you know, I don't care because the whole thing basically isn't me. But it was the whole sexiness of it that I felt a real pressure about. I think it's because I was in an all-girls school, so boys and you know, being, you know, kissing for the first time and all of those first steps, I never ever got to do. From 12 to 16, I was barren. And so I never ever once thought about my physicality. And I remember going to somebody's pool party when I think I was about 13, and they'd all started developing boobs, and they had like, you know, decent boobs. And I was there, and I remember wearing this crop top and, you know, pants, like bikini with Snoopy on.
Oh, Snoopy.
And I was completely flat-chested, and she'd invited a boy, and I'd never once thought about being attractive or boys or anything like that. And I remember he stood there and he looked at me and he went, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Why have you got no boobs? Why is there something wrong with you?
Oh my God.
And I remember it really hit me, and I just thought, oh my God, I'd never even thought that there was anything wrong with me. Like, oh my God.
I hope that kids watch Love Actually.
Yeah. Exactly.
Take that.
But I just remember thinking, oh my God. And then I just remember thinking, okay, just push it out of your mind. And I managed to push it out of my mind and carry on. But I still remember it. I still remember thinking that. But I don't know if it was my parents always bringing me up to be confident or just confident in myself.
And it's crazy to think that your daughter is like that age now, and you remember that story, and it's so impressionable.
Oh my God,
I remember we went on holiday once, and I was about 11. I was a really late developer, and I used to swim all the time, so that didn't help with like physique and stuff, because I was like quite broad. And this lad said to me once, he was like, Are you sure you're a girl?
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? And he was like, you've got such, and he was going, you've got such a, like, your chest's like an ironing board.
Oh
and we were
God.
on holiday, and it was like day 2 of a 6-day holiday.
Yeah.
And I remember for the rest of the holiday thinking, how can I try and look as if I've got boobs? And I remember thinking, if I get some cotton wool balls and put them down my swimming costume, and all the girls had bikinis, but I only owned costumes because I used to swim, like thick costume straps. Yeah. And there was days where I didn't want to go to the pool because this boy said that to me. And when you said that, but every girl has had, but he wasn't saying anything horrible. He's just going, but then to think that your daughter is that age now, how do you think your experiences might affect how you'll be thinking, how can I guide her?
God, when I'm with, I watch all sorts of things, I say, not like in a mad way, but I'm very aware of, like, say she's trying stuff out with makeup, or, you know, say she's tried something new, or you can see her experimenting and trying out different things. And I've always started with, I'm so proud of you. You are such a strong, intelligent young woman, and you're so beautiful as well. And, you know, it's like I always tag the beautiful on afterwards, because for years I've always been said,
I do that as well,
proud,
actually.
strong, intelligent, you're
kind,
amazing. But then I also do make sure that I would never walk in and go, oh my God, what have you got that on your face for? Take it off, you look ridiculous. Or that I'm always like, oh my God, that's so lovely. Oh, I love the way you've done that. Or, oh, you look so beautiful. And I do, you know, I'm very aware of what you say, even if it's so small, is going to stick with them. Like if you do go, why have you got so much blusher on? Or,
and do you know what? It's interesting you say that, because actually that's triggered a memory. I was told that a lot, you know, regardless of being a model, because you turn up to castings or whatever, even your agent, and they're literally literally like look you up and down and go, no, like lose weight. What have you done to you need to do this. Like I was told everything that we maybe think about ourselves.
Yes.
I was told it to my face. So then after a while you believe it.
Yes.
And I think that definitely affected my self-esteem and my confidence. It's only since I think becoming a mother that I've gone, actually, hang on a minute.
Yes.
My body's amazing and it's done miraculous things. So sod the lot of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Because
empowering.
thank God you think like that, because like there is a lot of women that wouldn't think like that. And think, like, I mean, like for yourself, after having 4 kids, how do you perceive your body and your body image now compared to pre-kids?
Oh my God, I think it's amazing because before kids, right? Because I mean, obviously it did sit with me that I always wanted to have bigger boobs. I was like something like a 32, I was a 32B or a 34A my entire like life up until the age of 35. And I always wanted to have bigger boobs. Never really worried about what my face looked like or anything else. It was just always like, I always wanted bigger boobs. And I think growing up reading, like Just 17 and Ms and all of those, it was like, if you could put a pencil under your boob, it meant you had boobs.
God, I was told this. I could put a can of Coke under there.
Yeah, I couldn't put anything. I mean, I'd put it there and it would just be like, boom. That mine sort of came
but
out.
I wanted
like,
that.
Did you?
Yes, I really wanted that.
Because I watch Love Actually now and I'm kind of like, my God, it's like they come out and I always wanted boobs that go under like that and that you've got like an underneath that you could like lift them up.
We always want where we haven't got, don't we?
Because that looks really feminine to me, you know. That is what I wanted.
I had girls at school doing that boob test, like putting like
I've
whatever.
never heard of this.
Oh my God, there's actually something trending online of it, and like, you know, you shouldn't be able to put a pencil underneath your boob. And there was this lady online who literally got like a bottle of wine and could hold it. I could probably hold a bottle of wine under my boobs at the moment, to be honest. And but I always wanted your boobs.
Really?
Yes.
Because growing up, it was kind of like, oh my God, you can put the pencil under. And that was like, oh my God, you've got good boobs. So that was something that always really stuck with me. And then now, after having children, I mean, my God, I just remember holding Eva in my hands, and I just had a muslin across me, and I was just soaking wet, and I just thought, is this sweat? Am I sweating? And my milk came in like so quickly that I just remember going from like nothing to they just ballooned. I mean, my God, they were out here. I remember being so fascinated. I was taking like photos of her feeding and my boobs being out here and like taking photos because my boobs were bigger than her head.
Oh my God.
It was insane. And then suddenly I just had these gigantic boobs.
Did you like it?
I liked it. And not that I felt sexy or, you know, like that it was just like, oh my God, I finally got boobs. This is amazing. And since then, I've now got boobs, and they've gone back down to like a much smaller size because I was like, something like a 38 double G at one point. I absolutely love it.
Can you put a pencil under there?
Oh my God, what's amazing is that, and you know, all the way through COVID, it was Daisy May Cooper, wasn't it? She would put stuff on her Instagram saying, this is what I can fit under my boob. This is what I can easily fit a pencil. I fit a Lego boat under there. I have done bottles of bubble bath. There was one day when I kept going into James going, look at this, look what I can get under there now. I can put a pencil case under there. I'd be able to put that cap under there.
We should see what we can put under. I reckon I could put that candle under my boobs.
Oh God, definitely.
Do you know the other night?
I absolutely love my body. I've got, I've got my stomach now and everything, and I've got scars. And then 10 weeks after giving birth to Kit, I had my gallbladder removed. So I've now got this sort of like little pin tack type thing where they were supposed to go in through the belly button, but they went in through the top. So it's sort of pinned up this bit. So I've got a lump there and then a lump there, which is, it's like I've got all like these little scars and everything over me, but I love it. And I just think, oh my God, it's amazing. I've grown 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I fed them, and it's just
Do you
brilliant.
ever sometimes when you go home, look at your kids, and my 3 will be sat there, and if they're a very rare moment when they're quiet together, watching something on the TV, and I look and I think, I made them. Like I grew them. And I think to myself, like, my stomach's like a deflated balloon. And I don't care.
Yes.
I don't know if it's since I've turned 40 last year. Something has changed in me, and I don't give a
Yes,
Damn
And I
straight.
would
Amen
love
to
to
that.
know if, and it's really nice, like, because you're both, in what you're saying as well, like, it's that body image, that positivity that's so refreshing to hear, because there's so many women that are listening. I'd love for them to comment as well on YouTube about this, because it's like, what are these points? Like, what something has happened that's made you change.
Yeah.
And it is having babies and giving birth. But then I do think that age, the perimenopause
Oh,
creeps
yeah.
in.
Oh, God, completely.
And it's like,
I'm 49 now, and so there's been a
you
definite
look
shift in
amazing.
me
You
anyway.
look absolutely amazing.
How has your perimenopause been?
It's been quite weird, right? Because 2 years after having Bo, so this is like, so I'm 49 now, so she's 4. So 2 years after having her, I was still breastfeeding her, and I've never had any postnatal depression. And I was feeding her and everything, and then I just remember waking up and suddenly it was like there was this black cloud over me. And I just didn't feel like myself. But I'm very much a like, pick yourself up, move forward, just get on with it, right? And I just remember, having this black cloud over my head and not being able to shift it, and sitting in bed and just crying and crying and crying and saying to James, I don't know what's the matter. I'm really worried that we're all going to die. And say I die, who's going to look after the children? And, how am I going to control the situation? And we're all going to die. We're going to die. And I just don't know what's going on. And I just couldn't shift it. I just couldn't get out of it. And I went to the doctor and spoke to her, and she said, I'm not going to do any blood tests or anything like that, because everything you're talking about sounds like you are perimenopausal. I'm just, she talked about the different options of HRT and everything. And I said, well, I don't want gel because the dog will lick it off me. And so, there's no point in that. I can't remember to take tablets. So I said, just give me some patches.
Yeah.
And she gave me the lowest dose going. I put that on, and, within like no time at all, it did start lifting. But I was quite a while of going through this depression before I thought, right, I'm going to go and do something about it. And it did lift.
Do you do this thing where, I don't know if it's, I think it might be a mothering thing, or maybe it's just me, I don't know. But whenever I go into any situation, whether it's the tube or the theatre or a shop, any with my kids, I'm always looking for an escape route.
I've now got like that, though, and I think this is a mother thing with the kids as well. Soon as I had them, I then went into this like sort of constant panic or worry or thought of, I need to be able to protect them.
Totally.
I need to be able to protect them from all of the weirdos and all awful things and whatever, right? So, and with Eva, it's just odd. I kind of think now she's 13, but she looks like she's about 16. She looks very old. And what's insane is that in my head, I think to myself, okay, right, this is quite good, because I feel now like we've got through the level. Oh my God, this sounds really weird, right? We've got through the level now of because I think she looks too old now for that. So that's something that we dealt with, and that's one thing I don't have to worry about. I now just have to worry about dodgy men, because she just looks like a young woman.
I
And
would
we've just
never
got
have
to deal
thought
with
of that until you said that.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
can
so true.
understand what you're saying.
No, well, I mean, no, because you're right. I mean,
before she went to France for the first time, I made her fight me in the hallway of our house, right? I said to her, this is what you need to go for, right? You go for the eyes, you kick them in the balls. I said, you do the nose. And then I said, right, these are some moves that you can do for like punching or
training
tripping
of your
or
acting's
whatever.
done you well, yeah.
And then we were in the hall, and I was like, come for me, right? And she's like, oh, for God's sake, Mum. We're walking past each other, and then I just like tried to jump on her. She's taller than me. She's got size 8 feet. She's just can pin me to the ground.
That's brilliant.
As she
I was
was leaving the
expecting.
house, I'm all smiles going, oh, have an amazing time, darling. It's wonderful. Remember, right, you can... If they pick you up, you go for the eyes and bite. And that's what I said to her.
Go for the eyes, go for the and you'll have a great time.
Though.
Did you always think from being a young girl, like, I really want to have a big family?
No, absolutely
It's just
not.
happened.
Yeah, I wasn't in the least bit maternal. Didn't particularly like children. I wasn't the sort who'd ever look at them and go, oh my God, oh, aren't they lovely? Or not in the least bit interested. And I absolutely loved animals. And that's, what I loved. I just loved animals. Had, all of my own dogs and everything, and never felt maternal. And then Mum said, you'll probably get to your mid-20s and you'll start getting broody, and it never ever happened. Oh, right. And it literally was when and I acted with loads of babies as well in like shows and stuff, and I'd hold a baby, or the baby would be on set, and I'd just be like, oh, hello, and wouldn't be in the least bit interested. And then I got to 35, and oh my God, I literally woke up one morning and just went, oh my God, I have to have a baby. I have to have a baby. And it just happened just like that, mid-30s. And I remember saying to James, well, you know, we have to have one. We have to have one. Because we got married when we were about 25.
Oh, nice. You had a nice marriage. Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
All we did, like, when we think about it now, we think, my God, we did absolutely nothing with that time.
Did you not have people saying, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to have a baby? Like the whole time? Did you not?
People didn't.
Wow.
I think because they were so shocked that we were like, getting married so young as well, that nobody ever really asked us. And because we were both actors, you know, our work was everything. We didn't even really go on. We had about 3 holidays in that time.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, can't miss auditions, got to be there. If a job comes in, well, how long do you want to go away for? Because I can't miss doing voiceovers. And it was just like never missing anything. It's just work, work, work. And we were quite happy with that. Yeah. And then suddenly it was like, oh my God, I want a baby. I'm doing ovulation sticks. I need to get pregnant now.
So you had your first baby, and then you kind of had obviously your 4 kids.
Yes.
When you had your first to your second, what was the hardest jump between?
Oh my God, I would say from the first to the second, probably from nothing to the first.
Yes, that's always the hardest.
Yeah.
For me, that was the hardest. Just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I was like,
I'm so tired.
Yeah. But leaving the hospital, I was like, are you taking the piss, right? You're actually letting me walk out of here with a human being, and you're trusting that I'm going to keep it alive. You know nothing about me. I mean, like, how is that even allowed? Are we supposed to do a questionnaire or like?
I know
that you do that, and you've got midwives who come round and visit. But my God, you're trusting me to look after a human being. I just thought that was mind blowing. And then coming home and with Eva, I mean, I was just like, oh my God, so I'd had an emergency cesarean. When I went in, I decided that I was going to give birth privately. In the beginning, I was like, I didn't even question anything at all. It was just like, I'm going to go to the local hospital. But we just moved out. We were living in East Dulwich, and we just moved out and moved down to Oxfordshire. But my head was still like I was living in London. And so I was like, well, even though we're in Oxfordshire, which is about like 2.5 hours away from London, I'm still going to go to a hospital in London because that is what I know. I know London. So really early on, I thought, right, sod it, I'm going to go private. And so that's the decision I made. So I went to see this obstetrician at 9 weeks pregnant, and I walked in and I said to him, I'd like you to deliver the baby, and I want everything to be natural. I don't want an epidural. I'm going to hypnobirth, and I just want it to be natural. And that's, you know, and he said, well, we don't need to talk about that now. Let's give you a scan first and see if there's anything in there. And, you know, there was, thank God. And then I got to about 20 weeks and went in, you know, for my scan, and they were scanning me. And then she said, have you had any bleeding? So I said, no, I haven't. So she said, okay, that's brilliant. If you do suddenly get bleeding and it's bright red, can you just phone an ambulance and get straight to hospital? So I was like, oh my, okay. You know, what do you mean? She said, oh, well, you know, just go up to see the doctor now and he'll explain everything to you. But I was just like, oh my God, what's going on? Went to see him, and then he said, you've got placenta previa. So, you know, the placenta is growing, you know, covering the cervix. So, you know, hopefully, you're only 20 weeks. Hopefully, you know, we're going to see when it gets bigger, if it's going to shift and it's going to start moving. It might go to the side and then, you know, everything should be fine. You know, and I was like, but what's going to happen with the baby? And he said,
your first baby as well.
He said, if it's covering the cervix, then your baby just won't be able to get out, you know, of the cervix. So I thought and just assumed it meant if the baby can't come out of the cervix, that, you know, when you kind of like engulf, you know, you absorb it back into your body. I thought, is that what's going to happen? Is it just not going to come out? You know, I don't understand. Just tell me. I can deal with it. Tell me what it is. Am I just going to absorb the baby back into my system? And that's what happens. And I think he was too scared to say, no, if nothing happens, you will have to have a cesarean because, you know, there's no other way for the baby to come out. And then he said that, and I think he was quite surprised because I went, oh, right, okay, well, that's absolutely fine. You know, because I was very much like, well, you know, if I said I want to have it completely natural, but Jesus Christ, when you have things thrown at you, or when you start, you know, on your journey of having a baby,
so much information.
There's so much information, and so much stuff can change and go wrong and not be the way that you've planned it. That I was like, okay, whatever we're dealing with, you know, we'll deal with that and just get on with it. I remember the midwife saying to me, you will start having bleeds if it doesn't move, and it didn't move. So, and it's also started going across the front as well of, you know, like my womb and everything. So if they were going to have to cut cut in for a cesarean. I mean, that was good. You're going to have to cut through it and stuff. And they said, you'll probably have a couple of bleeds, and we hope to get you to 30 weeks. And, we'll see what happens from there. But, you will start having a few bleeds, and then there'll be one big bleed. And then that's when the baby will come. And you just need to make sure that you're close to a hospital, for the later stages, for when that happens.
I bet that was petrifying with your first pregnancy.
It was awful. It was 20 weeks. And I just thought, oh my God, so this is going to happen. And I've just got to wait day to day to day until it does happen. And I remember the midwife saying, if you see streaks of red going down your legs and they're bright red, it means that the blood is fresh. And I was kind of like, my God, who knew that people could bleed so much whilst being pregnant? And touch wood, it's kind of like all right until you get an awful one. But she said, if the blood is, I mean, I've known you for like about 5 minutes, and I'm already about to say, if the blood is brown, it's fine.
It's fine. I feel like I've known you for my whole life, 20 years, so it's fine.
I've literally grown up. I spend time with you every Christmas. Like, we've grown
I know what
up
your boobs
together.
look like. It's fine.
Yeah. We've seen your we know.
Yeah. And telling birth stories is like a rite of passage, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And so she's like, if the blood is brown, it's old, and you kind of will be all right. But if it's bright red and you just see lines going down your thighs, you just need to get to hospital as soon as possible. So I just remember thinking, oh my God, this is awful. And then we left the, office, and I said to James, do not talk about it with me at all. And I said, just tell Mum and Nan and just tell the family, I will not be discussing it at all. I don't want to talk about it. Because I remember the obstetrician said, listen, just think about the week that you're in. Because before that, I bought all of the books. I'd done loads of research. I knew everything that was happening each week. And I just thought, you know what, right? I'm not going to think about anything. I'm just going to imagine that I'm like a cow in a field, and I'm just going to have just a completely blank mind, and I'm just going to feel everything, and I'm just going to be in the week that I'm in.
Thank God you had that mindset, because I would be a ball of anxiety.
I was, but I just kept kind of going, just pushing it out.
Your first as well, so it literally is like going into the unknown. What were the births like with your other three?
Oh, so with the second one with Kit, so with Eva, it was an emergency cesarean, and it was
how many weeks was that then?
That was
I
think I was about 36 weeks.
Oh, so you did
well.
I had
so at 30 weeks I had my first bleed, and I just remember waking up and going into the toilet, and there was blood, and
what colour?
It was brown, but I was still like, oh my God, there's blood. So we went into the hospital, and then I stayed overnight, and it was on Christmas Eve. And it was really, really nice, because I knew that everything was okay. The bleeding had stopped. The baby was fine, but they kept me in overnight, and everybody went home, and you could hear like screaming from, the mothers giving birth. But then also there were like carols playing, and it was quite just peaceful and calm, and it was just really nice. One of the nicest Christmases I've had, to be honest. And then after that, I got to 32 or 34 weeks, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night, went to the toilet, and there was just bright red blood. It was like everything they'd said about, and suddenly it's actually happening. And I stood there, and there were just these red lines, just these straight red lines just going down my legs. And I remember screaming for James, and I thought, I don't know what to do. So I lay on my back with my legs in the air, and I thought, well, that's going to keep everything in. So then he phoned an ambulance.
He walked in and thought, oh, okay then.
Yes,
oh, right, sorry, there was a problem.
But got into the back of the ambulance, and then they started chatting to me about Gavin and Stacey, right?
God.
As my blood pressure was dropping, because I remember I was starting to shake. I went freezing cold, and I was shaking, and I still remember chatting away and everything, and I think they were also trying to just keep the situation light. And then they were saying, I think we're going to meet your baby when we get in. And this was in my local hospital in Oxfordshire, who, have been amazing since with all sorts of other things. But I was still seeing this fella in London, because I just assumed when you go into labour, well, it's going to be a good 48 hours or something before anything happens. And so I was rushed to the local hospital, and then they said, we're going to have to, operate straight away. We can't stop the bleeding. We're going to have to give an emergency cesarean. And I just remember it was the weekend, and I remember there was a young girl, and I think she wasn't a student, but my God, she was in her first year or something. And I just remember her saying, I can't do this. I'm not qualified to do this. I can't do it. I can't do this. And then James ran out, and he phoned our obstetrician, and he said, look, calm down. Don't let them operate at all. The bleeding will stop. And James was like, how do you know? He said, the bleeding will stop. I'm telling you, just don't let them operate. So we went into a room. I was all gowned up and everything. James was messing around with the gas and air, trying to keep the situation light and getting told off by a midwife. They came in to get me and everything had just stopped. We don't need to get the baby out. It's all right. So they took me upstairs, put me on the ward. I was there for about a week. And I spoke to my obstetrician and he said, look, you either go back home and then you can give birth in your local hospital, which is absolutely fine. Or if you do want me to deliver the baby, then you need to be close to, where we are in London, because the next bleed, which will be the third one, is probably when the baby's going to come and it's going to be a big one. So it's up to you what you want to do. And I just thought, no, he's seen me all the way through. He knows the situation. That's what I'm going to do. So we went up to London and we booked a hotel and we stayed in the hotel next door to the hospital for the week before giving birth. And I moaned the entire time if I could stay in a hotel now, right, for a week.
Just a night.
Yeah,
right.
just a night. Just a night. I just lay there playing Plants vs. Zombies on the iPad, eating Maltesers and just like bumming around, just doing nothing and moaning because I couldn't nest. I couldn't do anything. It's not where I wanted to be. And then a week went by and then I went like that, moved the sheets to get out of bed and it was like a bloodbath. There was just bright red blood everywhere. Yeah, because when you bleed with placenta previa, you're not in any pain. It's just like you can't feel anything at all.
It's like water's breaking.
I bet a
blood.
hotel was like, bloody hell, she's getting charged for laundry for
I know.
that.
James had to go and speak to them afterwards and say, I just need to tell you what's happened.
Mattress needs replacing.
Yeah, the mattress needs replacing. I haven't murdered someone.
Oh my God, of course.
He was just like, you need to know that something dodgy hasn't just gone on. This is what's happened. I dived out of bed, shoved some stuff in, shouted at James like I was just off. And I was running down the street and I just remember going up to the thing and just within 8 minutes she was out because the sack had started tearing as well. I mean, it was really bad. The sack had started tearing and within 8 minutes she was out. So that was all.
An ordeal when you think about that for you first.
What were you like postpartum? Like
absolutely fine. Do you know what? I don't know if I was in a whole thing of because I've never felt traumatized because I've spoken to people afterwards and they've gone, Jesus, how did you feel? Or were you worried with the next one? Or I'd never even thought about it. I gave birth to her and then I just remember, so she was early, but not that early, but she was jaundice. And I was adamant that I was breastfeeding, but she couldn't feed. So she went on and she was slipping off all the time because she was jaundice. And at one time I was so exhausted and so drained in the hospital that I was sitting in between. There was the midwife on one side and James was on the other side. And I was just like that, just out of it. And the midwife said, Jo, do you mind if we hand express you?
And did they get the little syringes to try and get...
we had it like in a little bowl and they were hand express. So she was hand expressing me, right? And then she said to James, will you do the other side? And right, the thing is, right, when he was young, he's northern, right? He's from Bradford. I don't know if that makes any difference, but he's used to being in the countryside, right? And when he was small, he had a goat called Layla.
Oh my God.
You're going to say you used to milk this goat, are you?
He milked the goat, right? And, when you hand express, there is a certain technique. It's like a ba-bum, and so sometimes I find it quite hard. Come on, Layla, let's get the teats going. And he went on that side, right, and boom, just like that.
Wow, did he?
Yeah.
Wow,
he was like,
he
just got so much milk out of me, right?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
No one tells you that breastfeeding is not something like, well, some people, it probably is, but that you put the baby on there and then they latch on straight away and everything is fine. Nobody told me that I would be sobbing because I would have a chunk out of my right nipple that would be bleeding, or that Eva, because when Kit was born, I tandem fed Eva all the way through my pregnancy with Kit. And I don't even know why. She loved going. We'd have a nap together during the day. Yeah. She was massive. And then when he was born, obviously my milk came in and I had so much newborn milk. She was loving it.
Oh,
she was like about 2.5, nearly 3 at this point. Yeah. And I'd have him on one side and she'd catch up on the other side and she'd go on at the same time.
Wow.
And one day she sucked so hard that she'd left a blood blister, which was so jelly-like. And I remember filling up the sink and having to just dab my boob in and
Why
slowly
did you get your husband in? He could have sorted it out.
Layla never had blood blisters.
Oh my God.
And I remember having to try and pull this blood blister off.
Oh my God.
And after that, I had to say to her, oh, darling, Mummy's so sorry, but Mummy can't feed you anymore just because it's hurting Mummy now. And she just went, okay, that's fine. And she never ever ask for it ever
Talking
again.
about, we talk about parenting fails on our show, but anything that springs to mind as like a parenting fail?
God, I don't know, because I've kind of taken everything as like not a fail, but kind of everything is a fail. Because I mean, I remember after having Eva, and she was just like so lovely with, after having Kit, she was so lovely with Kit, and she was about like 2.5 and everything. And that was suddenly like, oh my God, I've got to change. I just always remember thinking, I'm just a mother, I've really messed up here, this is really rubbish, because he was on the kitchen table. I was trying to change his nappy, she was standing next to me, and I needed to change her nappy, and she was crying, and I was kind of like, oh my God, I don't know which one to go to. And then for the whole of like having them, I just remember saying, to her, have I ruined your life by having Kit? And I kind of thought, oh my God, have I just like, and coming as an only child as well, I don't have that experience of when they're fighting or when they're just saying the most awfulest things to each other and then the next minute they're fine.
Oh yeah.
And I always thought, oh my God, is that like a huge big parenting thing? No, it's
very normal.
Really,
it's very normal.
But
I remember
stuff like, and then trying not to like, now Eva's 13, trying not to like, we had a massive argument, and I'd really try and not end up arguing with her. But just before I let her have a phone, we had a massive argument, and I was managing to keep it calm, and she started saying, you're a helicopter parent, and I'm so not right. It's unbelievable. Because I was kind of like, I've not even been here for the last 2 days because I've been working, and also I've just let you do I'm so not a helicopter parent. But she was like, you're a helicopter parent and you want to ruin my life, and because, and I'm quite happy to take all of it. But as she stormed out, and I ended up shouting at her up the stairs, and as she walked up the stairs, she remember she called me a bitch. Oof. And then she went like that to me.
The finger. Oh.
And I just remember that made me cry. And I said to James, oh my God, is that awful? And is it awful because I shouted back?
Yeah, but
and he was like,
Is there anyone listening who probably like hard relate to a lot of mums who have teenage daughters? Like any advice to give? I mean, we've got it to come.
Yeah,
I think. Oh my God, it is mad.
Oh my God, I think I cried my eyes out.
Did to me the other day. Sorry, the finger. So my daughter's 6, and she thought she gave me the finger, but she did this one. She was like that, and I was like, oh, I was like, can I take a picture? And I did. She was like, okay, and I thought that was quite cute, but I was like,
I thought you were going to say, oh, it's not that one, it's this one.
Yeah. But oh my God, now that Eva's reached 13, it is mad. And you go into a whole other level of also just, I find it hard looking at photos of them.
Yeah.
And videos of when they were small, because it's just too raw.
And it goes so fast.
Yeah.
They grow up way too quickly.
And I think, oh my God, do I just like, did I not enjoy it enough? But then I've got to the point now where I just have to think, it and just not think about it anymore, because you can't kind of really go, oh, I'm really enjoying all of this, because you've got 2 children for the first time and one of them is holding a xylophone over the other one's head and they're literally trying to bludgeon him to death.
Yeah.
So,
and in that moment you're like, oh, it's magical, isn't it? In this lovely.
Enjoy these days. Blinking, you'll miss it. Before we have to unfortunately let you go, let's touch on Gavin and Stacey.
Yeah.
Do you miss it? Was it like the best thing ever?
Oh my God, it was so much fun. It's made every other job, acting wise, like really hard, because you just think, God, I just would quite like to do that forever. Because I think now, after having children as well, I don't have the same sort of drive and ambition, right? I've got no ambitions to go, oh my God, I want to go to Hollywood, or, oh, I'm really excited after Gavin and Stacey, I really want to portray myself in a different way and I want to tackle Lady Macbeth in Chichester, or I just want to be with the kids. I want to do stuff that I'm just enjoying, that doesn't take me away from the family. Just want to be with the family and everything. And
have your kids seen Gavin and Stacey?
They didn't until last year, because everything that I was ever in they thought was boring. I remember going, sit down now, Mummy's going to show you now Nativity 2 and you'll love it. My God, within about the first 10 minutes, they were like, this is boring. It's boring. They've watched it through now, but like, don't care less at all. And can I say it, right? I'm in Taskmaster at the moment, right? And Eva's loving it. And she's like sat there now watching every episode. Boys, they watched the first, I think it was the first 2 or something. Not interested now, they've gone.
Oh my
God.
God.
Not interested in anything at all that I do, right? And so they've not seen any of Gavin and Stacey. And then it was with the finale. And Eva was of an age then where she was starting to hear about it and was like, oh God, Mummy's away now filming. And so it's going to be coming out at Christmas. Can we watch then all of it, Mum? So I said, yeah, come on then. The boys weren't interested, including James. And so me and Eva and then Beau, who was like really dinky, would sit on my lap, and then we sat, and then from the first episode we watched like the whole thing together.
Oh, I love that.
And I'd seen all of it like about once, but I hadn't seen it since then.
Is there anything any funny stories or behind the scenes that maybe Gavin and Stacey fans don't know about that you can share?
Yeah, like a bit of insight, because we had Larry Lamb on
Oh,
on the pod, and he was
Larry
telling
on.
us about like the wedding scene,
Yeah.
about how the amount of takes you have to make.
Oh my
You don't know
God.
that as like
Yes.
viewers, but have you got
Oh my
anything
God.
like working with James and Ruth?
Oh
like,
my
what was
God.
that
Well,
like?
I would just laugh all the time.
Really?
The first series was so much fun because we were all so young and we'd all just met and we really clicked, and it was just like amazing and so much fun. But like, I remember me and Matt just drinking loads of sherry when we had to do, well, I remember it was the 2018 special and when it was the New Year's Eve thing. And I remember Matt went and bought me a bottle of sherry, and because we were filming as well in like a proper pub. So all the way through filming New Year, we would just go and get like drinks from, the pub anyway. And I said to him, because I can't remember what I was doing, but I said, oh, go on, pop out, get me a bottle of sherry. And then I had like a little hip flask, and then I was pouring it into things. We were like literally drinking sherry all the way
whilst
through
you're
that.
filming?
And, yeah.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
probably really bad to say, isn't it?
No, not at all. I mean,
Well,
it
that was
worked.
like-
That took
God,
50
that's-
takes, but we got there
I mean,
in the
did
end.
you remember your lines?
Yeah.
When we had to do the stuff for the wedding fair, I remember James Corden actually fell asleep. And the scene in the first episode where we've all gone back to the hotel and James and Ruth were supposed to be kissing in that scene before they go into the toilet, and then me and Gavin, get into bed and everything. They were supposed to be like filmed kissing, but they're best friends in real life. So it got to that point and they attempted, and then they were just like, oh my God, we can't do this. So that's why Nessa and Smithy have never ever kissed, because James and Ruth, James and Ruth can't kiss each other.
Is that why?
Yeah, because it would be like kissing your
God.
brother or something.
That is brilliant.
Because it's like that
information.
tension where you're like, come on, let's kiss. So
but
then-
I think we'd all been out like drinking or something, and we were all hungover. And then when the boys were filming, James Corden actually fell asleep in bed. So when you see the scene, and then Gav's got up and he's getting himself ready, and he sees the note from Stacey, he's like, come on, we got to get going. And then James wakes up, and then he sits up, and he's just got the thong on, and he remembers all about the toilet brush and everything. That was James actually waking up on camera because he just fallen
Oh
asleep.
my God.
no,
The
That's
film in the
amazing.
finale was horrific. I mean, oh my God, I don't know how I got through it, because the show has been with me all the way through my life, and I feel so much for everybody who was in it. I mean, I started doing it when I was 29, and then we actually finished it when I was, 48.
That's
and so
mental.
it's been a huge part of my life. And then when it got to doing the finale, oh God, it was awful. It was awful. I've never really been anywhere where I've had such a lack of control over myself. But I remember the night before filming the last ever day, they gathered us all around together to do this filmed, question and answer type thing. And I sat there mute. I couldn't speak. And they were like, come on, Jo, what do you want to say? I couldn't speak because every time I went
so
to open my
emotional.
mouth, couldn't stop crying. And then I remember we finished doing that, and I went up to my room in the hotel, and I sat there crying and crying and crying. And just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to film. And then I got into the car for filming the next day. Then I remember being in my trailer, and I had Ruth on one side and Julia Davis on the other side of me, as I was like sobbing. And it was like, you need to seriously pull yourself together now, because we do have to work.
Yeah.
But then Matt came in with presents for all of us.
Oh,
that
God.
set me off again. And I just remember coming to like our last lines, and I was so out of control. I had to keep taking myself off to the toilets to cry. And then I just remember thinking, I cannot be the one that cocks up the end of Gavin and Stacey, because I'm openly just crying on camera. Me and Matt filmed our last lines and then ran round and then got into, the pose for the photo. And then they never normally, play any music or anything when you're filming, because they can't then match it. So you always just have to pretend that the music is playing. But Chris, our director, she'd lined up, our theme tune,
I've literally got
and we
shivers.
were all like frozen there. And then they started playing the theme tune, and we all like kept ourselves together. And then Chris went, cut, and we all just stayed there. And she went, you can stop now, you can stop. And I just remember me and Matt turned and we grabbed each other, and I just remember sobbing like
Really?
crying so loudly. It was, and when we filmed the scene where, Mick stands up, where Larry, has to, we had Anna Maxwell Martin, doing the wedding. And at one point, I remember all of the lines, and I think it was Smithy saying, I did fall in love. It was 17 years ago. And I remember us all looking at each other and me thinking about us being in Leicester Square when the four of us first met and filming those first bits. And I was just completely gone. And I had to go into the toilets, and Anna Maxwell Martin had to come and get me out, because it was she said, you've got to pull yourself together. Because I was honestly such a wreck. I was terrible.
Did it take you a little while to get over
those
emotions?
Did.
You think you've finished filming. Yes. Obviously, nobody's seen it. It's all going to get edited and cut and everything. But it felt like a weird drive home.
Yes, it was. Well, it was awful because we had the wrap party, that night after filming. I was so terribly drunk that I spent most of the wrap party crying with Ruth and Chris Gurnan, the director. And then the next morning, I was so hungover. Mel, who played my mum, had to try and pack my stuff for me and get me out of the hotel. I was supposed to get a train home, and Mel had to just pack my suitcase for me and put it in her car and take it back to Swansea for my parents to pick up. And I had to phone. I spent £400 on a car to take me back to Oxfordshire because I couldn't stop being sick as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was so badly hungover. Probably had alcohol poisoning or something. Yeah. And by the time I got, and it was a small, electric car. So I'm in the back of it, being bounced around everywhere, thinking I'm just going to throw up everywhere. And I just remember James opening the door of me coming in and the kids jumping on me going, Mummy, Mummy, Mummy. And I was like, oh, and he went, oh my God, you look absolutely awful. You look terrible. And I was like, I just feel it.
Mummy's been working.
I grieved for a while. And then by the time it came on TV, I was absolutely fine.
You have got so much energy. I want to talk to you all day. You've been absolutely amazing.
You have been amazing.
So much for coming on.
Thank you so much for coming on.
You absolute legend.
Yeah.
I just know that everybody listening will be like, oh my God, she's amazing.
And I feel like we could talk for so much more, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. Joanna Page, everyone. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. Make sure you are subscribed to No Parental Guidance so you never miss a drop. And for all you keen beans, you can watch our YouTube show in advance on Sundays now. Ooh. So do leave a comment, your opinion, and anything else you want to tell us. We read them all, and it's the best way to support the show and keep these real conversations going. Have a good week, everyone. See you later.